Hello. In today's videos, I would like to explain a crucial realization, one of the on my journey that truly helped me to recognize and see in myself and in others what is their most hidden repression, what is their most hidden blockage that they have and I had that helped me unleash biggest repression of my energy, and that set me on the path of more easily, finally more spontaneously following my intuition into liberation. So I will just explain it how I see it. So since we were children, like how a baby communicates to their parents, right? We don't speak in words, right? We just make some sounds, but we actually communicate through emotion, right? Baby doesn't have a developed psychological world, and it doesn't communicate through words. It communicates through expressing bodily communication, right? Bodily expression, which stems from emotion. And so without energetic expression, there is no bodily movement, right? And so in order to, because you don't have a psychologically advanced world, evolved world, you communicate through the body. And so you have to have emotion in order to have bodily expression, because emotions drive bodily expressions. And this is your primary way of communicating when you're with your parents, when you're a child. And so a baby, if you truly look at it, in my view, there are only three emotional states that are important and in my view existent. And this state is state of sadness, state of anger, and state of neutrality, joy. So when everything is fine with a child, when all the parameters in his atmosphere are set just right, he feels joyful, right? He's joyful, he's happy, he's smiling, laughing, he's curious, he's playing, he maybe is quietly joyful, or he's curious aloud, right? He's making sounds, noise. And so in that state, we could say of neutrality. Why neutrality? Because everything is fine. In that state, he's open, he's positive. And in that state of positivity, parents never intervene with his state. Like when you see a child behaving like this in a mostly healthier environment, a child will be left or interacted with him in that vibe, right? So everything will be fine. This kind of atmosphere, this kind of his emotional state will not be intervened, will not be broken. He will be allowed to be in this state, because in this state everybody likes positivity, right? Most people, as I said, in mostly healthy relationships, atmospheres, people like to have this kind of people, children, this kind of state of them around, because it's positively influencing them, right? Everybody in that atmosphere. So a child in a joyful, curious expression will be left alone or interacted with the same level of energy, right? So that's why I call it neutrality, because everything's fine. But when something was taken from a child, when he was hurt, when he tries to express that he was violated and he was hurt, and also maybe, I don't know, maybe also because he saw maybe something really beautiful. I don't know. Tears can fall, sadness can come, or tears of joy can come. So a child cries, right? In that circumstances, he cries, he is sad. And when there is sadness, because we live in a world where this is viewed as a negative expression, because parents themselves, adult people, also repress sadness. It's like, why are you crying? You're just such a pussy, right? We know this saying, and it is common in adult world that crying is seen as something weak, right? You shouldn't be weak. We need to go through it. We need to suffer, be a big boy and stuff like that. So crying is viewed as something negative, right? And so when a child cries, because this is how he expresses hurt or some sense of joy, can also be seen as crying. When this is seen, viewed, experienced by an adult that represses this same expression, children then are not allowed to cry, right? They are not allowed, and they are very fast trying to be soothed by the parent, right? Oh, don't cry, everything's fine. He is not allowed to be fine with it, to become fine with it, with that expression of sadness, with crying. And he's never allowed to know himself, to get to know himself fully, and to just be spontaneously through that ordinariness that comes with being used to being with an expression of yourself, to become detached from it, right? Like nothing's happened. So if you are allowed to cry as much as you want, then this kind of living, this kind of being of yourself, it's like, okay, nothing happened. We cried for as much as we want, and then we went on. Like there is no emphasis put on that, right? But if you're constantly trying to soothe the child and constantly, like, it's okay to soothe the child, in a sense, be there just as a pillar of security, but not as someone that cuts off his way of being right then, right? So in that allowing, he is not attached to not cry the next moment. He can be free, right? So he can know himself, and he can be confident in himself, because there is no fear in him of how he should express. So he knows himself, and in knowing himself, he is in allowing himself to be his whole self, be resilient, right? Because resiliency is built, power is built by being faced with however life shows up, and you allow it, right? Everybody knows that. No matter what life throws at you, you can do it. So you need to allow yourself, you need to prove yourself by allowing life as it is, that you truly are powerful, right? If you are constantly being cut off, intervened in some expression in yourself, then it is transmitted to you this way of, oh shit, the next moment that comes, maybe crying, I have to brace myself because this is something that's bad, shouldn't happen, and I'm fearful of it, right? Because this way of being is then transmitted to you by this way of communicating and connecting with you as a child from the parents, right? And so this sadness repression, it's very common in people, and we know that exists because almost everybody represses that. I know I did, and I know that many people do. And then there is the other expression of anger, which is the same. It is viewed as, okay, some boundaries were being crossed, broken, and it maybe already happened a few times. So expressing sadness doesn't resolve it. Now I have to express anger. Hey, you are now overdoing it. Leave me alone, right? And so then you are angry as a child. You become angry, furious, aggressive, and you try to explain through that emotion that, hey, boundaries were crossed. And again, because we live in a repressed world where anger is seen as toxic, sadness is seen as weakness, and anger is seen as toxic, this is in collective awareness, right? That emotions are viewed as too much. If you're expressing yourself in an extreme way, in a dramatic way, if you are too much, then you shouldn't be like that, right? As I said already, sadness, you're weak, you're a pussy, and you're angry, oh, something's wrong with you, right? You're viewed like that. And so, again, in the expression of anger, you are again intervened as, hey, what's wrong? Or maybe like it's not like a state of neutrality when you are being allowed to be whatever you are, right? In a state of neutrality, when there is joy and curiosity, you are allowed to be like that if you are in a mostly healthy environment, right? Somewhere not even that is allowed. But in mostly healthy environment, that is allowed. As I said, there are families where even that is not allowed. For instance, joy and laughter. But in mostly healthy, that is allowed. And then when you're being dramatic with anger, you're again being intervened. And in any way, shape, or form shut down in that expression, right? You're actually being punished for being sad or angry. Because these two emotions are to express hurt or boundaries, sadness or anger, and they need to be more dramatic because they are pointing to something that was not as it should be, right? Or maybe these emotions are used to express another level of joy through tearing, or maybe some level of competition within the child. And so aggression is present, which is needed. It's a healthy level of aggression in some way of form of competition, right? So mostly in world, you have to look like you are neutral. If you are dramatic, you are seen as something's wrong with you. We live in such a world where if you are seen as relaxed, people think something's wrong with you. Look at him, he's depressed, but you're just relaxed, for instance, right? For instance, many times I look really relaxed and almost like sleepy, but because we live in a toxic, crazy world, I'm viewed as depressed, even though I'm so fucking relaxed, as I have never been in my life. But the crazy, anxious people that are unconsciously and consciously repressed, which are constantly under tension, they see this place of neutrality as abnormal, right? It's not normal to them. They're not used to it. So I just want to say that we live in a crazy world where you must not be too much, but at the same time you must not be relaxed. You have to be constantly under tension, and at the same time fake that you are relaxed, that you are neutral, under tension, but fake, seen as neutral, right? You have to be like common people, constantly stressed, but like you got it, right? So faking some kind of way of being. And this is how common people behave, right? They have contraction, they have fear, but they behave as if everything is okay. And so in this repressed world, in this stressed world where everybody is under stress and they behave like everything is okay, expressing anger or sadness, so the most dramatic expressions of human, the energies, emotions that drive the most dramatic behavior of the body, of the human expression of the body, as is seen as extra, too much. And I just wanted to say that these two repressions of sadness and anger, we all know that they are seen as dramatic. They point to, they are viewed as an expression of more energy, right? Everybody knows that. If you're neutral, it's like you're being efficient with energy. But when you're expressing sadness or anger, there is so much more energy expressed in those emotions. And so the biggest repressions of energy, in my view, come from repressing anger or sadness. just for the reasons that I have just explained, right? So when you were a child, everything you could communicate with were emotions. The only two emotions that you expressed more differently and dramatic to point something more different in your experience than everything is okay, or you're in a state of neutrality, where anger and sadness, that these are viewed as separate and distinct from neutral state, right? And so in adult life, these adult human beings, these two emotions are repressed. And if you look at it, because I already explained in what kind of world we live, right? In a constantly stressed, where everybody is faking, or consciously faking, or unconsciously aware to the fact that they live an anxious life, but they pretend as if everything is okay, some consciously, some unconsciously. And so whatever more comes into this state of being, it's seen as we are already in a state of being too much, but we are faking it, consciously or unconsciously. And then whatever more you add to that, as in angry or sad, it's like too much. These kind of emotions are immediately seen, oh, this person has a problem, this is not allowed, this shouldn't be. And so it comes from childhood, because it was our primary way of communicating. It was already back then repressed, because this is also too much for people in the adult world. And so how I see it is that these two emotional states are mostly, because of these reasons that I've just explained, are mostly repressed in the world. And so me realizing this in my life, also seeing that actually I've repressed both emotions, right? You shouldn't cry, you're a man. And if you are being angry, it's like you're toxic, you are scary, right? You shouldn't be. Even though anger repression was much more heavily prevalent in my life, being massively repressed in aggression and anger, even though this was my primary and most heavily repressed energy, I was also repressing sadness, right? But I just wanted to say that the realization of these as the only communication that you have as a child, and the understanding that this is too much in the adult world, because we are also stressed, and anything more add to that is too much. It's obvious to see that how these two emotions could be repressed in your childhood, right? It's obvious. There is a link there. It's undeniable. And so me realizing that helped me start my healing journey in resolving my repression by starting to train. Because, for instance, I could much more easily empathize, or how it is said, be compassionate with people in expressing sadness. It was much more easily achievable for me than expressing anger. Anger almost never came in my life, but tears in my eyes were much more easily achieved. And so in that way, in recognition and realization of that, I could understand that, so even though maybe I was unconscious to this, I have recognized that anger never comes up in my life. And so I understood that repression of anger was present, that this was my biggest repression, and this was my starting point into my journey, into liberation of this repressed life force that wants to express as anger, right? I just wanted to say that this is probably one of the key videos in my school, and everybody should hear it. I will try to make also an important title so people are attracted to this video, because recognizing that allowed me to resolve the biggest blockage in my system, and through that finally liberating a huge potential of energy that allowed me to then follow my intuition all the way. Because as you can see in my school and in every my video, I constantly emphasize the truth. And the truth is that you're being given life. You are here because God is providing life for you. It gave you, it will take it from you, and it is giving it every second of your journey. And how can you be manifesting a wholesome life if you are not building, manifesting life from what's most alive in you every step of the way? It's impossible to build a wholesome life you're not taking steps from what's most alive in you. If you are not functioning from this way, if you are not taking steps from the guidance of God, because He is constantly guiding you towards your next step by giving you the spark of life, by giving you a sense, okay, I'm alive, but this makes me most alive, right? And this is the guidance. So I am alive all throughout my day, but something gives me a special boost. Something gives me an extra boost, right? And this is your intuition guiding you into your next step. And so if you are not taking steps, if you are not embodying that, if you are not manifesting your life from that place, being guided by what's most alive in you, how are you going to manifest a wholesome life? It's impossible. Either you follow what's most alive in you, or you reject it because you're afraid of that. Because following what's most alive in you, it's something new that you've never done. You didn't do for a long time. Because every time you followed what's most alive in you, for instance, expressing anger or sadness in your life, or any other choice you tried to make from that place, you were denied. And if you look at it, when you were a child, when you were in a place of neutrality, everything was okay, you were allowed. But when you expressed anger or sadness, you were denied. And so fear into following yourself what's most alive in you was already instilled in your childhood, and it is in you until you resolve it. And so I just wanted to say that realizing that, resolving that huge potential of energy resolves a huge layer of fear, and it puts you in a place where you can finally more easily start to take steps from your intuition, from the life in you. Because before that, it was really hard for me to live from my intuition and be really creative. For instance, when I resolved my anger repression, I actually faced a lot of my fear. And in that process, I also started to easily, just as a byproduct of that, also expressed sadness. So if you focus on your biggest repression, on your biggest emotional repression, because emotional repression is your first way of communicating, and anger and sadness are the most potent energetic expressions when you're a child. And if you look at it, these most potent are just the ones that are most repressed and denied when you're a child, and also then in adult life. So if you resolve your most potent energetic repression, which is emotional repression as anger or sadness, when you resolve these, you face so much, you process so much fear in that you unlock so much life force. And because of that, you become creative in life. I was never creative in life, even though I'm a child of God and I'm the son of creation, just like anybody else. So I should be creative, right? Not as much as God, but something similar to that. So until I resolved my anger repression, I was not creative in my life because there was not enough life force for me to drive me. If you are repressed, you're just surviving. You don't have an extra energy potential for surviving and then also for creation, right? When you're repressed in your energy, you're just surviving. And until that point in my life, I was just surviving. And so I just wanted to prove in this video that anger and sadness are our most repressed states. These are most energetically potential states, and these are the only most energetic repressed states that we have in this world. I have just proven it in this video because these two ways of communicating were the only ways of communication when we were a child that were ways of communicating that something is more extra or not fine from the state of positivity, neutrality, right? And so me realizing all this and start training my most hidden repression, my most deepest repression, anger repression, and then finally being fine with it, and then being tested in real life spontaneously by God through other people, me finally being faced in the moment and shaken like a little pussy, but going through and expressing my anger. So until I trained it and then tested it in my real spontaneous life. First, I was going out and being pumped in being tested, but at some point, becoming so fine and going out unprepared into real life and being truly tested. You're truly tested now, but not when you're training, when you're behind four walls, or when you go out pumped and ready being tested. True test comes only where you're unprepared and truly leading a spontaneous life, being guided from intuition, right? Because training and being pumped, going out to be tested, was still all driven by fear. So until you are spontaneously living and being guided by intuition, and then in that, only in that, you can truly be tested. If you still need to integrate, for instance, that anger for me, or any other way of expressing, until you're spontaneously being caught by God through other people and being tested, and then really experiencing. So you are being called to express anger, but because it is truly spontaneous, true integration will happen. And in true integration, true fear is being brought into the moment. So you are faced with genuine fear and then still going through it. And at some point, after a few tests, you will realize that there is no more fear anymore in your experience. You are just easily in the moment, spontaneously, when you are guided by intuition, being able to express something you were for a long time not being able to express. For me, it was anger. And in all that process of me truly, fully in the moment, spontaneously being faced with fear, I confronted it. I became resilient, because life is about being resilient. Because only in resilience there is a power, and only a powerful being can truly be relaxed. Only in that way I have processed, I have liberated a huge chunk of energetic potential. As I said it, anger and sadness are one of the most potential energetic expressions. We all know that it looks more dramatic than a state of neutrality. And that, just doing this, we could say root work. So you are truly tackling the biggest problem in your experience, doing the root work. That allowed me finally to get access to my life force, where I can now more easily not just survive, but I spontaneously became a creative person that truly is having joy creating new things in life, and finally much more easily be guided by that same creative life force through intuition into my fullest purification, into my final purification of the remnants of the fear that was still left there. Into, for instance, into my expression of sadness. Then sadness became much more easy for me, and all of other expressions of me also allowing myself to just be lazy and not constantly have this sense that I need to be productive, that I need to produce something for the system, that I can finally really relax and start chilling and truly being relaxed in chilling. I have never been more relaxed in my life. And this is not a relaxation that comes because I did some relaxation, stress regulation techniques. I don't do any techniques. I just did the ultimate technique, which is facing life as it is, facing my fullest expression through life. This is the truth. This is all there is. Life force being tested in the moment of life. Fullest expression being tested in the spontaneity of life. This is how you liberate yourself, by following that life, what's most alive in you. But it is because I explain this in every video, I wanted to point this as a separate video because it is easily to say to people that are mostly already liberated, very few of them, but some people are liberated enough where you can just say, hey, follow your intuition and everything will be resolved by itself. But most of the people like myself, just giving that advice into following your intuition, it's not enough because there is some unconsciousness or such a big fear that is too much holding you back, where you're not able to be relaxed enough in your experience, where you can depend on following your intuition and being relaxed enough, having faith that, hey, you are strong enough, so no matter what happens, you will be okay. If you're too weak, if you're too repressed, if you're too scared, fearful, unconscious or conscious of that, it is almost impossible for you to depend on yourself because you're too weak. And so facing this biggest weakness of yours, this biggest repression, this biggest energetic potential, for me, allowed me to embark finally on this journey of my total purification through intuition, guidance, into my fullest expression, to finally be free. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, I'm just saying that I'm so resilient that no matter what life will give me, no matter what it will demand for me, I know I'm so strong that if there is anything left still in my experience, I highly doubt. I think I'm pure as fuck. But if there is something still of impurity in my experience, it will be easy peasy for me to face it. I just wanted to make this video. It's key. It was key in my healing journey. So I just wanted to make a summary. Resolving that huge potential allowed me to start even or continue and finalize this purification process. That's it. I have proven many things in this video. You can recognize most of it also in your experience. But if you want to see the proof that everything that I have mentioned works, not just most of it, you have to embark on this journey of facing your fullest self. In facing of your fullest self, you actually attain the state of not being attached, the state of not being identified. You resolve energetic blockages and you attain a level of relaxation that no method can give you. A level of confidence, a level of intelligence that no book can give you. How do you know when you're truly free of fear? How do you know? When you can easily laugh at yourself. When you can easily laugh at yourself, laugh at yourself being seen in any kind of way from a place of being genuine. So a genuine laugh that you can have for yourself is a sign that you are not attached to be seen in any kind of way, that you are not bound to being any kind of way, that there is no more fear to being any kind of way. Where you are not taking anything personally anymore. But this doesn't mean that you don't care about anything. It actually is the other way around. You are maybe not taking it personally from an egoic place, as in being directed towards you, but you are maybe seeing it more from a place of collective, because you are then the embodiment of love, and you care even more, but not from an egoic place for yourself, because of yourself, how you are being seen, but because you feel so much love, you feel like a family, and all the people that are on that level, and maybe are also even still below that level, or hidden away from this level of being a family, you care so much that you actually start fighting for that. So I don't want to point the picture that spirituality is about you not caring about shit anymore. It's not about that. You're not caring anymore about egoic stuff, your personal selfish stuff about that you don't care, but about true things that mean in life, like family, like love, like God, like health, these things. So we could say the heavenly things, they matter to you more than ever, and you are willing to fight for them. How are you going to enjoy the heavenly things and manifest them if you're not able to protect them by expressing rage and allowing yourself tears of joy when experiencing some beauty, if you are repressing sadness? It's impossible. And how will you manifest this kind of harmonic world if you're not able to be like that? That's it. That's it. I just wanted to say also that I just finished my 15-day liquid fast, we could say. I was drinking juices, fruit and veggie juices, teas, and also my urine. And now I broke my fast with bone broth. I have done it. My God, so tasty. One of the best soups I've made. And I'm still drinking my urine. If you're hearing this for the first time without any pre-knowledge of that, maybe I sound like a wacko. But check my previous videos. I already mentioned that I'm testing urine because I have heard many good things about it. Some expensive medications that average person cannot buy. It's not in reach of an average person because they are too expensive. Have the same chemical compounds that are found in urine. So why not just drink your urine if there is some great cure in it? Even though it tastes like shit, I'm giving it a go. So about that, keep in touch because I feel like it's having some good effects. We will see in the long run what it will do, because I had 3 autoimmune diseases and I'm in the finalizing stages. That's it. If you are suffering, so I just wanted to say this video is one of the keys for me that set me to my liberation, resolving huge energetic potential. It was key for me. And these two emotions, in my view, are the only ones, and sadness and anger, they are both huge potential and they are heavily repressed in this world. So mostly what I see in people is either sadness or anger that's repressed. So you resolving that will set you in the journey where you can finally start being guided by God much more easily, having that creative force where you're not just surviving and going through life, but also having fun along the way from a genuine place. That's it. If you're suffering from any kind of problem in life, I'm pretty well versed in the area of life. I have overcome a lot already. As I said, 3 autoimmune diseases. And if you seek help, if these videos are not enough, check out my other previous videos, and you can even contact me for work. I'm very much awaiting to start working with you. That's it. I will conclude here because I have another special message, but I will make another separate video for it. So see you in this next, also key video. Bye.